walk down one way, then we go back the other. John, that's it.
Oh, wow. What a wonderful place to settle down in. That's definitely where I want to raise my children, said the tolerant liberal. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely awkward, bewildering news to get into today, as of course, there's a lot of upheaval, there's a lot of protest, there's a lot of people very angry today, as of course, we do have the political prosecution of opposition leaders in what is really some head-scratching news coming from the United States and Russia that seem to be doing something very similarly. What are going to be the larger ramifications of this? Will this attempt to stifle dissent be successful? Well, we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media organization. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was originally highlighted by someone on the internet. I think it was Clown World again, highlighting the absurdities of living in one of the most highly taxed, most insane places in the world that, of course, have the most amount of government. It's almost as if there's a correlation there between the two. That's obviously because there is, and we could definitely expect more madness, more lunacy, as of course there's been a lot of recent protests recently that I think are worth talking about. This is just recently in North Carolina at an African cultural event. A tractor trailer was set on fire. 8 people were arrested during what local officials are calling a 10-hour protest and standoff as clashes erupted between rival ethnic groups that just started to attack each other with sticks, rocks, and other items. This as right before the last presidential election inside of the United States nearly 4 years ago, there was also a lot of mostly peaceful and fiery protests that, of course, were supported by the corporate media. As in the Netherlands, 4 police officers were hurt after riots erupted there between also other African ethnic groups. Also clashed with each other as they trashed cars and buildings while throwing bricks at police officers, as the corporate media described a Dutch city that has essentially been turned into a conflict zone, highlighting more civil strife and ethnic violence that a lot of people are predicting will get out of hand. This as there was even major protests in Israel, as some protesters blocked roads, clashed with police officers, as thousands of people took to the streets calling for an early election, and more specifically, the removal of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, a man whose political career is numbered, according to a lot of analysts who don't see him being in power for that much longer. This says, of course, 400 people have been detained in Russia, according to CBS News, allegedly for trying to mourn the death of a political opposition leader in that country that just lost his life in captivity. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more in just a little bit, as of course the political situation in Russia is also a very tumultuous one, as the Russians are involved in a larger war between Ukraine, as they have now been able to get full control of a major key strategic city, Avdiivka, that the Ukrainians just a couple hours ago evacuated, as there are still some reports of Ukrainians still remaining in that city. This as the situation does not look that advantageous for the Ukrainian people and their country that, according to many reports, are running out of manpower and military hardware. This as it's important to note that this latest loss of this city is also very significant, as the Democratic power establishment is holding on to this battle, as of course if they lose it during an election year, it will create a situation that won't be very favorable to them, as of course the Russians are literally planning to, quote, unleash Armageddon if they lose in Ukraine. This according to the latest article by the Daily Mail, highlighting comments from Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of that country and a Putin ally that, of course, is threatening an all-out destruction of the world if Russia has to go back to the 1991 borders. So yeah, as we're threatened with Armageddon and nuclear war, this is one reason why I created my pizza party shirt with Joe Biden. If you want to find that shirt, you just scroll down and go to thebestpoliticalshirts.com, which you should click on right now. You scroll down into the latest shirts, you type in a keyword associated with a shirt that you're looking for, you click here for search, and then bada bing, bada boom, we got the perfect shirt representing this larger political turn of events that I think are very well highlighted on this piece of cloth that you can wear out to the general public and inform the local Kyles and Karens about what's really happening in this world. As of course, the shirt reads, "At least we get a pizza party before World War III." As there's a new shirt that we also just released this week that I am particularly proud of, and that is my political campaign to have an asteroid to destroy everything in 2024 with the tagline that says, "Just end it all." As, of course, some people are literally rooting for an asteroid to come down from intergalactic outer space. And that decision, that choice is a lot better for some people than the choice between the left and the right, between the Democrats and the Republicans that, of course, are just two sides of the same coin that ritualistically sacrifice you at the altar of Moloch. So yeah, join the incredible individuals that are taking a stand in their local communities by getting a t-shirt and wearing it proudly, starting conversations, finding friends, finding foes, finding out who's really on the same page as you, all through wearing a shirt. The shirt that I'm wearing right now was also, a favorite of a lot of people when I was out and about yesterday. And, of course, it spurred on some very interesting conversations that I wouldn't have unless I had the t-shirt, unless people were like, "Oh, wait, what? Oh, and those moments I absolutely live for. I grew up as a single child, and t-shirts were always a great way to break the ice, start the conversations, get to know people, become friends with people that I didn't know, especially when I was traveling all over the world. And seriously, there's nothing better than wearing your message, your heart on your sleeve and saying, "This is who I am. This is what I stand for. I am in my truth, no matter what you might think of it." And that level of brashness, that levels of chutzpah, that levels of ballsiness is something that you could start right now by getting a t-shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Click the link down in the description below. Check out our amazing category of incredible shirts that, of course, we have available to you all on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Some of which we can't even show you here, as they are too spicy, they're too tumultuous, they're too funny. The censors would literally freak out if we showed you the type of shirts we have available to you. Go check them out right now by clicking the link down in the description below. And of course, getting a shirt supports this independent media organization, and we can't thank you enough for supporting us, helping us grow and expand through these efforts. As of course, there is definitely a war on any kind of controversial political speech. This is perfectly highlighted by the Biden administration's attacks on, of course, the political opposition party and their main chief opponent in this upcoming presidential election, that, of course, being Donald Trump, that a New York judge just ordered to pay $355 million after being found arbitrarily guilty of alleged fraudulent business practices, which the former president of the United States will, of course, be trying to appeal this larger court decision after a civil fraud case was just handed down a victory for New York Attorney General Letitia James, who, of course, sued Trump and his associates after their 3-year investigation on him. This, as Donald Trump is also forbidden to conduct business in New York for 3 years. And a lot of people see this latest decision in New York as a form of political prosecution. This, as some truckers are even reportedly in talks right now in refusing to deliver their goods and services to New York City in solidarity with the former president of the United States in the wake of this decision, as some truckers are now trying to organize this larger political boycott of a city that clearly represents political institutions that further the political ideology of the liberal Democrats. Now, will there be any kind of protest, any kind of major move made against the city by truckers? Well, we're going to be following closely this particular story, as of course it would have a lot of political ramifications. This, as some individuals are even setting up their own fundraisers to pay for the former president's legal bills as a GoFundMe in the name of supporting Donald Trump has already raised tens of thousands of dollars, as Grant Cardone and his wife just set up this GoFundMe, and in the making of this video already raised $275,000. Still a drop in the bucket compared to the $355 million that the former president of the United States is now expected to pay. This, as it definitely seems like the Democrats are becoming more and more desperate, doing everything they can to try to stop the former president of the United States, as of course, all the poll numbers clearly highlight a situation that if it doesn't change, that will lead him to the White House, a situation that a lot of people are uncomfortable with, a situation that a lot of people within our Democratic kind of establishment are churning up many different and interesting ways to try to derail, stop, and alter the path that the former president of the United States is on, as Donald Trump also just released his own official sneaker that he's selling for $400 a pair, that now everyone is talking about in light of this decision against him in New York, which of course is probably going to be raising a lot of money for him. This, as other political opposition leaders don't have the luxury of starting their own shoe brand, as of course a couple hours ago, we also got the news of Alexei Navalny, a political opposition leader in Russia, that was just found dead in his cell after, of course, becoming a political prisoner in Russia. This, as there are some reports of his body being found with signs of bruising. This, as of course, this incident is getting a lot of attention and play by the American corporate media that routinely likes to select which political prosecution is right and wrong, and whether you're comparing what happened to Navalny to, of course, individuals like Julian Assange, who essentially, I would argue, has already lost his life, or Gonzalo Lira, another American citizen that lost his life in Ukrainian custody. I think it's fair to say if it's either of these individuals or individuals like Alexei Navalny, I think it's clear that we could all come to the conclusion, no matter who it is, I think people having to lose their lives because of their political thoughts and expressions is a line that we shouldn't stand for. A line that shouldn't be acceptable, a line that rogue, unaccountable, powerful individuals cross far too often, and they should be called out for it. And whether it's Donald Trump, Julian Assange, Gonzalo Lira, or Alexei Navalny, punishing people arbitrarily because you don't like the ideas that they represent is something that absolutely should be called out immediately and not tolerated in civil society. But sadly, it is becoming more and more normalized, as of course the people doing it are being able to get away with it. And I think it's important to speak out during these incidences. I think it's important to always stand up for individuals, whether you agree with them or you disagree with them, that political ideas, thoughts, and expressions should always be protected no matter what. And if you agree with that overall message, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more imperative than ever. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for getting a shirt. Thank you so much for being here, a part of this independent media organization. We got one more video coming on later on today, a podcast, 2-hour podcast, 6 p.m. Eastern, with some really incredible individuals in studio. Josie, the redheaded libertarian, Ryan Black, lots of cool people coming in. Join that conversation, 6 p.m. Eastern here on youtube.com/wearechange. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. Right, Atlas?